you're going to be faster.
Yeah, the only issue is with how these cars are designed to step out just a little. You can find yourself tagging that wall if you're not careful, which is what Michael Guest did last time around. So you have to be super careful. He's going to give a shove to Blake McCandless. That's going to give him a run on our leader, Parker White. Here comes the number 071 on the outside.
Trying the best he can. Guest goes to the inside line. Tinsley looking for the middle. Canless all the way up by that outside wall, and he's going to get a huge run. Let's see if he can get clear of the 9. We're coming to 2 to go here in stage 1, and McCandless looking for the inside, but he stays right in line.
And you just got to time this move perfectly if you're Blake McCandless right here. Wyatt Tinsley's another guy who's super hungry. And it's a 5-car group with 3 cars right under a blanket as we come to the last lap in stage number 1. Here comes Blake McCandless for the lead.
McCandless to the inside. We know how well Parker White has been able to use that outside line. A little bit of a slide job there from McCandless. Still 1 more to go in the stage. He's clear. White lifts. He gets loose and just barely has enough room to drop to the inside. Still side by side out in front. Tinsley pushes that 071 out in front. Almost contact for second.
Got him really stacked up there. A really dangerous move, but it's going to pay off, I believe. But they're still side by side, almost 3 wide. Here comes Wyatt Tinsley, and he's going to take it from Blake McCandless in stage number 1.
Last lap in stage 1 there, Marty Reed. 1 more to go in the stage. Wow. Wyatt Tinsley out in front. McCandless going to try and take it back from him here in turn number 1. He looks to the inside, and been watching Blake's streams as of late. He's been doing a lot of A-fixed here, so he's had a lot of experience into getting around this racetrack. Problem is, he might be a little too far back coming to the end of stage number 1. White to the inside, and that may just do it here, and Wyatt Tinsley may come away with a stage win. The runner-up in points a season ago, he hits the outside wall for good measure, and the Kansas City Pioneers driver will win stage number 1 here at Auto Club. McCandless second, Guest third, Parker White fourth, Jimmy Mullis finishes 5th in stage 1. Second stage ends at the end of lap 80.
Another cool thing about the Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series here is no stage caution, so we're going to keep it green, keep racing here, and that's, for all these guys that really started to press the issue, if you do scrub your tires off, that can be an issue, as well as, keeps the door open for some fuel strategy, so lots of fun here. Wyatt Tinsley still retaining the lead.
And McCandless just doesn't seem to have the speed on the bottom side to hold with Tinsley there up on the top. Here comes Guest around the outside. And make it Coke driver 1-2 with a Coke broadcaster on the inside there in the 071. And 2 more Coke drivers, 4th and 5th, and Parker White and Jimmy Mullis.
Not for long for Jimmy Mullis as Matt Spalding and Brandon Cattell up the outside just were able to use that momentum to their advantage. Chris Overland as well is right up here, and I believe he is a lap down. Almost makes contact with the wall.
Overland is a lap down. He pitted just a little bit ago after not taking fuel or not stopping under that first caution flag. So he has about a 10-lap buffer compared to everybody else. So we'll probably see everybody here within the next 4 or 5 laps or so to come back to pit lane, side by side, even though it's not for the lead. Spalding on the inside, trying to get his lap back, and he does. Overland on the bottom, looking for it as well. Meanwhile, the leader up against the outside, toward the wall.
And again, just another element of strategy that's so much fun is, again, with having no stage cautions here, it keeps this fuel window wide open. You don't have a caution to really plan around. So it's just another variable that's thrown in here that does make this series super unique. Looking right now at your leader, Wyatt Tinsley, with Parker White. He started to gap him just a little bit, just drive away. And it looks like for the most part, we're starting to see everybody calm down just a little bit. Gary Sexton and Dylan Basin for P number 7 is going to be your first side-by-side battle on the racetrack.
Cut a little further back in the field if we can, because there is a lot of good racing all over this racetrack right now. As one car, it's Gary Sexton coming to pit lane. Ed Shearer sounds like he's going to do the same here in about a lap. So we're already in the window here for everybody that pitted under the caution to come to the pit lane this time. We'll see who decides to do so at the front. Parker White, Michael Guest, they've got the virtual hands up outside the window net. They know they are coming to pit road this time by.
And super busy over the comms right now. We'll start to see everybody peel off, and that's going to include your leader, Wyatt Tinsley, Parker White, Michael Guest, Jimmy Mullis.
Oh, he sped! Tinsley sped! Black flag for car number 20. Oh, and we got trouble. Corey Carpenter's around. Look out. Back up into the racetrack. The 38 almost cleaned out some cars. He came in super hot and trying to avoid the 7 of Connor Horn. He hooked it right and wound up back on the racetrack, so he'll have to pull around. But your race leader, Wyatt Tinsley, speeds coming onto the pit lane, and he's going to have to sit in the box and think about what he's done.
That's a super tough break to go from the lead to put yourself in a position like that, where you're it's just an uphill battle from here.
Oh, and McCandless just sped. Blake speed's coming onto pit road. Here comes the next batch of cars. Anybody want to join him? So the 2 drivers that were leading when they come to pit road speed under the first cycle of green flag stops.
And that's just, I mean, you got to practice it or something. Not sure what's going on there, but yeah, but for both the leaders now. Looking back through the field as well. For the most part, I think everybody else should be okay, but with the leader speeds like that, it's so hard to judge yourself correctly, because you are using that car in front of you as a sort of bookmark to kind of judge where you need to be, and it's easy to misjudge it.
So Chris Overland cycles around to be your race leader. Michael Guest is 3.5 seconds back. He just stopped. So Overland cycles around. He pitted 13 laps ago. Jonathan Oates pitted the same lap. He is P5, almost 5 seconds back on Overland. Outside of that, Chris Wetz is 34 seconds back, and Spalding, he is almost a full lap behind. Something tells me that Spalding sped when he came onto pit road or something, because he was towards Overland on the racetrack, and now he's a lap down almost. That's Tinsley behind. He is a lap down after speeding, and he's going to try and get his lap back here. Now, he's on fresher tires, so Overland may just let him go by, and he will.
And looking back, it looks like there's about a 12-lap discrepancy between Chris Overland, who again is on a different cycle right now than Michael Guest, who cycled out to be P number 2 right now, and he and Parker White are just coming to about 3 laps on their stint to Chris Overland's 15. So he and Jonathan Oates on a different cycle here. We'll see how that really meshes with everybody else as we get into this race, but right now it looks like those are the 2 main different strategies here from just stemming from that caution.
Closing in on 50 laps complete, we ride on board with Lawson Peel here. Right now, he sits in the 11th position, about half a second behind Kevin King. Brian Mercurio on his back bumper. You look out the back window, relatively at least. So, you see the Dr. Pepper car trying to get on by here. The former NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver fell out, was relegated after the Contender Series throughout the winter, and he's trying to race his way back in now. You can see him participate in Las Vegas in the eNASCAR Qualifying iRacing Series Top Split here on FTF. That is Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern, right here on FTF. We're at Las Vegas, and we have had 2 straight years of photo finishes at Las Vegas in the trucks. We'll see if we can make it year number 3 on Thursday night. We've also got Winstel from Daytona. That's tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern. And in between Winstel and the qualifying iRacing series, I'm going to assume Autobahn is somewhere, but I can't quite verify that. Give me 5 seconds. They are not. So we go straight from Winstel to Road to Pro. We are back this time next week from Las Vegas. And then Winstel goes to Rockingham next Sunday. Autobahn is back Monday, March 6th from Canadian Tire. So we'll see them in just a couple of weeks. In the meantime, Chris Overland out in front by 1.5 seconds. That margin is dwindling. Michael Guest is second. He's got the lap car, Blake McCandless, in front of him. And so far, everybody relatively spread out. Good battle for 8th on back. Basin, Kevin King, Jonathan Oates. And Oates is going to get shuffled out here and drop to 10th.
Still side by side right here. You're looking at Dylan Basin right now. And again, at this point in the run for Jonathan Oates, about 18 laps, you're starting to see some considerable fall off compared to everybody else he's running around, who are only about 6, 7, maybe 8 laps in on their tires. So it's so hard when you're on a strategy like this to really maintain your tires so that later on in the run you can remain competitive. And that's something that you can see Chris Overland right now is so good at doing. But even he at this point is starting to bleed lap time out.
Bason's got the shades on. Wear sunglasses at night. Yeah. 80s music. For somebody that was born in, what, 2000 and... Oh, I can't do math, and you people know that. 2006? 7?
Good Lord.
He's 16.
Yeah, we've got a combined age of or average age rather, of 21, 22 in here, and we're referencing a bunch of songs from the 80s.
All right, well, yeah, the average age of the broadcast booth, I believe, is 20 and a half. So, difference is I listen to 80s music. What's the problem with that? Nothing.
I love sunglasses at night.
Exactly.
Good song.
Is that Corey Hart? Do I have that name right? Corey something or other?
That sounds right.
We had a pass for the lead, by the way, while we're talking about crap that we weren't alive for. Michael Guest takes the lead. Overland falls to 3rd. Parker White in 2nd. Mullis and Cattell, though, are nose to tail. That's currently for 4th. Going to be for 3rd here once they get past the Menards car, the 47.
And again, Chris Overland, 20 laps in, back to that 12-lap discrepancy. And again, right now, he's just starting to get to that point where you are starting to bleed lap time out. Parker White, last time around, looks like he ran a 49.7. Or that's a 40, then 9/10, 700ths. Compared to Chris Overland, who just ran a 41.4. So, again, about a half a second difference in terms of tires at this point. So, it's just hard to really cover up the blemishes that are on those tires at this point. And you're starting to see with Chris Overland and Jonathan Oates, who is fallen all the way back, way outside of the top 10 at this point, 17th for the 73 car. So the guys that did stay out on that caution, it's coming back to bite him at this point. But again, they will pit earlier and then make all that back up, and we'll just find ourselves in this cycle again without a caution.
And they could be hoping for a caution, so that way they can get back into the cycle. Because if you get a caution right now, I would imagine you're going to see everybody come onto pit road. You at least make it on fuel to the end of stage number 2 here. We're about halfway through stage 2 right now. So you pit here, you'll be able to make it to the end of stage 2. And more than likely, everybody, I would think, would take tires here. In the event that you haven't up to this point. Nonetheless, Guest your leader, White, Mullis, Cattell, Overland your top 5. Brian LaPrade is a second back on Overland, and he's got company right now. Kevin King and a train of cars behind the 019, the former Coke Series driver, and Brian LaPrade. He had rotten luck, it felt like, in 2022. Really couldn't find a break in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Couldn't find a break here in FTF. Just missed out on making it back to the Coke Series through Contender. He now has to go back through the Road to Pro ladder, and Brian LaPrade, trying his best. Came up short in the Course Series Championship, and there you see the snarling pack of cars behind him. King, Sexton, Mercurio, Basin, Bryant, all there. 5 cars under a blanket.
And Breyer, again, just it seems that he pulls the shortest straw on the deck so often, but never fails to have just great energy and a great attitude about him, and it carries him so far. So he'll get that luck soon. Just a matter of when, but this should be a year where he starts to turn it around. And now all of a sudden he's trying to get past Chris Overland, Kevin King, now to the backside of that number 019 machine. Both of them trying to break into the top 5 here. They'll be successful.
King pushes him right on by, and now everybody's got to try and get around that 47. He parks the bus right in the middle of the racetrack. It's only going to hurt Matt Spalding, who's on the same old tires. He hits the outside wall off the corner. But Mercurio, Sexton, they're able to get by. Basin stuck side by side with him here. Heading into turn number 3, here comes the 07 of Bryant. Actually has color on his race car this season. He drove basically what looked like a Clint Boyer throwback machine all of last year. So I saw the 07, thought it was the 107 perhaps of Jack Mace, who ran in the 500 2 weeks ago, but nope, just the 07, the Pepsi machine. Really another throwback, but at least they invested in some paint for the 07 ride this year.
Yeah, with Daniel Buttafuoco behind him, one of the most colorful schemes in the garage as well. And interesting right now is in the corners, we are seeing everybody fan out, but not to the extent that we were at the tail end of the last run. Everybody, for the most part, is running, say, the bottom and then the bottom of the middle lane right now. So nobody's really wanting to tempt that Larson line all the way up against the wall. As soon as I say that, Gary Sexton tries to run all the way up there, but even so, it just looks like the top lane might be dying down just a little bit from where it was early on.
Well, and Gary, he really burned his stuff up by going to the outside line there on that first run, and I wonder if maybe some folks saw that and thought, you know what, I think I'm going to stay to the bottom of the racetrack, try and save the tires a little bit, because Gary was really struggling as far as speed late in that run.
And even so, just clicking off laps at this point, and it's so hard to kind of judge that when you can't have a caution that strikes at any moment. But these guys have done an exceptional job of keeping these cars, not out of the wall per se, because we have seen a few guys tag it on exit, but to keep the cars straight and making sure that we're not being in accidents. Just overall as a field, done a great job of that tonight.
Parker White starting to pull away, and that's brought Jimmy Mullis into the picture here, as well as Cattell. 3-car battle for second, as White is more than 3/10 out in front here.
And we've even seen that as well, where you'll almost have a pushing the pusher effect here on the front stretch. Looking down the back stretch, you're going to see Michael Guest all over the back bumper of Jimmy Mullis and going to just send him off into the corner. Kind of has to adjust his arc accordingly. But with that momentum, should be able to pull back in front of him. Brandon Cattell, not this time, but we saw last time where they just get kind of grouped up under a blanket and they can start this mini draft. It's almost like watching, if you've ever seen Radicals on a 1.5-mile racetrack where the 3 cars can just start to tandem up together. It's really reminiscent of that.
Before they got ruined. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Mullis trying to scoot away from Guest and from Cattell. Still has the draft to kind of keep them close. We're closing in. This will be 15 to go in stage number 2. Here from Auto Club. They're going to make it to the end of the stage, but they've still got another 45 to go. Once they get to that point to make it to the end, they're going to be just short on gas on one more stop. So if you're able to stretch the fuel here, Caleb, could potentially get you in a position here to make it a one-stopper, but you really have to start saving now, if not earlier.
Yeah, another thing I kind of have my eyes on here, not only that whole equation, but looking at some of these guys. Oh, almost had contact between Chris Overland and Edward Shear. Really close call there, but was going to look at that 047. He is about 33 laps on this stint. Big push. That was from Reese Schaefer. But for Chris Overland right now, this is basically a two-stop race for you at this point, because there's no way you're going to be able to stretch this to where everybody else is going to be able to. So, and yeah, Chris Overland does make the call onto pit lane in chat. Jonathan Oates as well. So these two are just really in an interesting situation where they're really hoping for a yellow at this point, because they're going to be so off kilter on their fuel strategy that it's not going to work out for them here by the end of it. Here comes that 047 on the pit lane.
The only way it works for them is if everybody can't make it to the end on one more stop and they have to pit one more time with like 3 to go. But I don't see that happening. The best thing for them would be a caution to get them back on strategy and save them, or perhaps blow up everybody else's strategy and put the whole field on something completely different.
And I mean, that goes to show you how that one move for track position early on, again, short term, yeah, put them up at the front, but long term, with the lack of cautions that we've had since then, it's really thrown these guys off to where they might be out unless we get another caution, which, could very well happen this late in the run. We're starting to see bunches of guys step out just a little bit. Had a synchronized spin action almost happened with Blake Bryant and Gary Sexton off turn 2. So we are getting to that point where you have to battle your track as well as your car and everybody else around you. Blake Reynolds as well. Big stepping out on him.
How about this? Dynamic sky, the sun peeking through. Here at Auto Club Speedway, it's still really overcast, but we're getting a little bit of sun. Almost heating the racetrack up just a little bit. The air temp has actually fallen. It's down to 64 degrees now. The track temp still 67, but that sun may help it just a touch, may increase it by a degree or two, and that could change the handling of these race cars, especially with some folks on older tires.
And again, another thing to keep your eye on here, in sim right now, just past 5 o'clock, looks like 5:09 in sim time. That sun eventually is going to dip below the horizon, and the lights will come up here, and that'll, again, completely change how this racetrack is operating as we fall into darkness. So, again, just another variable that you're going to have to deal with here. And as these cars begin to change, as not only the air temp and the track temp drops, but just how this pit strategy, fuel strategy is shaking out. It's just a lot of things to kind of maintain, and these guys up at the front, Parker White, Jimmy Mullis, Michael Guest, it's
oh my
ever-changing variable.
Goodness gracious. They are trying to wreck Gary Sexton. He is out of control, and I think it's because he killed his tires up on the outside wall. He had somebody getting in the back of him, and then Sean did it again there off 4. He's got Tommy Gossett behind him here. Gossett to the inside, 3 wide. Gossett's already been in one accident here off the corner. And Blake Bryant just has to get out of the way. He wants nothing to do with this.
And for good reason. At this point, you don't want to really bring out a caution this close to the end of the stage. Under 10 laps to go here, and that would completely shake up everything with another round of pit stops, presumably.
8 to go in stage number 2. Parker White, your leader. Jimmy Mullis trying to reel him in. The end of the stage coming your way next here on FTF from Auto Club. Or not. All right. These guys finally decided they want to race. Mullis, lead. Clear. Bump draft. 7 to go. So we're going to break or not?
Yeah. Thanks for staying with us.
Back here from Auto Club Speedway, green flag pit stops underway before the end of the stage. 4 to go. Wyatt Tinsley coming in. You got to remember, he's a lap down. The drivers racing for the stage win, still staying out on the racetrack. They'll have 3 to go in stage number 2. This time by Mullis, your leader. Guest White Cattell in a 4-car pack. McCandless is a lap down after speeding.
It's like White
There's
Tinsley's going to come down.
Yep. So far, looks like most everybody else going to stay on the racetrack. Falkingham, LaPrade, Blake Bryant, all pitted, as well as Gary Sexton, Jimmy Ritchie Price, Aiden Byerlin. There, he's on the pit lane, and Cattell is going to pit this time. So here we go. We got folks at the front in contention for the stage that are going to pit. So at this point in time, they will not be able to make it to the end on fuel. It's going to be a 2-stopper. Guest gets loose. He stays out. Here comes White, Mullis, and Cattell, and they all make it to pit road safely without speeding. A couple more are going to come onto pit road. Basin, Botafuco, Gossett, Sean Butler. They make it onto pit road without any incidents here. 2 to go in stage number 2. Michael Guest, your leader. Does he have enough fuel to stay out in front for these last 2 laps?
And it shows you how big those pit road penalties were for Wyatt and Blake McCandless, who are on the same strategy as everyone else, albeit Blake McCandless right there in 29th.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Hand the lead over to Blake. No, Blake's pitting. Mercurio takes the lead. Last lap, stage 2. The next car behind him is Kevin McAdams, 7 seconds back in closing. So if Mercurio pits, Kevin could stay out and potentially beat him to the line for the stage. Sebastian Marin actually just passed him. So Marin's now in second. McAdams is pitting. So is Marin. Can Mercurio make it to the line? He's going to pit. Nobody wants to win the stage.
We might have some all-star race action going on here. Let's see.
Marin, McAdams, they all pit. Where's Seth Noel? He stays out. Seth Noel did not win the stage. Mercurio got him in the pits. Mercurio wins the stage on pit road. Just barely, right before Noel got to the start-finish line. And Noel and Malachi Drake are the two that still need to pit. Everybody else has visited the pit lane.
Yeah, and really interesting that outside of Seth Noel, and I think even Seth Noel should be coming down any time now, that we're not seeing anybody try to stretch it out and make this a one-stopper. And yeah, here comes Seth Noel.
I don't think anybody can, even from here, because you got to make it 45 laps to the end. The longest I've seen anybody make it so far has been 36. You can make it on tires. Somebody said that you can make it roughly 66 laps on tires, but you can't do it on fuel. Right now, though, at the front of the pack, it's a choo-choo train of race cars. Mullis, White, Guest, Cattell, King, LaPrade, Falkingham, Overland are all on the lead lap and will fly by here to take over the race lead. Your top 8 headed back to turn number 1, all in the big old pack.
And right now, still not seeing anybody. I think you're right, Jacob. On that first run, everybody was super aggressive in using that high lane, just as a lane to pass guys, keep that momentum up on the high side. But I think we're starting to see that everybody who ran that line burned their stuff up. So I think everybody is just in conserve mode right now. Not only running in this pack, drafting with the guy in front of you, but trying to keep those tires in one piece as well.
Wonder if the ploy here is to try and save fuel in the draft. Cattell's having none of it. He jumps up to the outside line. There's no hole for him on the bottom. And he's going to go all the way to the lead up on the outside. And that's got to be what they're doing here. They're trying to save fuel. And this could be a help for Mullis because now he's not leading the pack. He gets some draft. He gets the opportunity to save some fuel.
Absolutely. And if you're not leading the way for these guys, then you're able to have that benefit of drafting the guy in front of you and using less fuel because you're not using as much throttle around this racetrack. So really interesting here, and I wonder if maybe there's a mutual agreement between these guys, where you saw Brandon Cattell go to the front. I wonder now if we see somebody on the outside like a Kevin King take the lead from everybody else to kind of keep this battle for the win contained within these 10 cars.
Well, when you look at the drivers up here at the front of the field, all of them are either Coke Series drivers or former Coke Series drivers. Cattell, White, Guest, King, Mullis, LaPrade, Falkingham, Overland have all been to the top spot in eNASCAR in their iRacing careers. And here they are at the front of the field at Auto Club. And we sent a lot of fast drivers home tonight. Talk about Michael Cozy Jr., Ryan Doucette, Derek Justice, all part of the Coke Series that did not make the show tonight. And here are a lot of the Coke Series guys in this race here at the front inside the top 10.
And you saw right there Michael Guest now from P3 to P1, leading the way for everybody now. And again, Chris Overland finds himself inside the top 10 now. He's still just out here kind of waiting on a caution. Looking at him, he's about 20 laps into this run. And, you know, without a caution, this is going to be a precarious spot for that 047. But if one falls just the right way, then he can find himself inside the top 10 here.
.40 laps to go. How long do you wait until you pit? You know, the longest that anybody can go is roughly 35 laps on fuel. So, do you wait until we hit 30 to go and pit? Do you try and pit this, cut this last run in half and pit around 20 to go, 21 to go? Do you just run it out of fuel and then pit with 5 to go? How long do you wait, Caleb, to make the move to come onto pit road and get enough fuel to make it to the end?
I think you run it as long as you can here. I mean, if you're one of these guys that, you know, you don't want to leave yourself with not enough time to crawl back up through the field if need be, but also you don't want to push this at all in case we do have any green-white checkers, anything of that nature. So I think if I'm Michael Guest, Parker White, Brandon Cattell up here, I'm trying to save in this pack as well as just run it as long as it can until I have no other option but to come down. Hopefully, then I'll be in the best position possible, you'd think.
How about Guest and White trying to break the draft here down the back straightaway? Trying to perhaps pull away and make it just a battle between those two, not allowing anybody else to try and save fuel off of them here. They put about half a second between themselves and Cattell, who runs third.
And it's a big discrepancy in lap time here. That time, though, it was closer with Brandon Cattell faster. I don't know, because this is going to mean a lot for your fuel consumption if you're not running in this pack with everybody else, where you are able to just kind of ride around. If you're Parker White or Michael Guest, you got to get something going to where maybe one of you can just cycle the lead back and forth if you do break away. That's a big if at this point, because Brandon Cattell is right on pace with them, and he's still in striking distance.
Now, I'll ask you another pit question, because I did mention it earlier, the fact that you can make it to the end on about 65 laps on tires. Do you dare take fuel only under this pit stop, or do you dare just taking right side tires, trying to get some track position over the guys that'll be faster with 4, but do you think the track position will matter more than the tires will?
I think it really depends on where you're running when you come to pit, and when even you pit. You know, if you're coming down with, you know, say 6, 7 laps to go. Let's see right now, about 10 laps in. So I'd say maybe 10 laps to go. You come down the pit lane. If you stretch it another 25 laps, if you're someone like Michael Guest, I'd say at that point, maybe consider taking 2 tires, because again, with that late in the race, only 10 laps, you know, it's going to be hard for anybody who is taking forward to climb all the way back up to you. So if you're one of these leaders like Michael Guest, Parker White, Brandon Cattell, I think that's a strategy. Whereas if you're one of these guys that's maybe back 7th, 8th, Blake Bryant, Daniel Falkingham, for example, I think at that point you're kind of forcing your hand to take 4 and just try to get as much track position, much lap time as you can.
Just have to wait and see what the drivers decide to do. 3 wide off turn 4, Blake Reynolds, Blake Bryant, and Sean Butler. Almost some contact. In fact, there was a little bit of contact off the corner. They straightened it out for now, but Sean almost got another sorry in there.
Would have been heartbreaking for Sean. Looking back up at the front, though, another kind of interesting storyline to watch is if we are able to get a caution, which at this point is a big if, with 34 laps to go. I'm sure there will be one sprinkled in there somewhere. But I'd keep your eye on Blake McCandless here. He's running P42 right now, but we know this car has speed, and if he's able to get himself back on the lead lap, I think he can put himself in position and crawl up through the field. If anybody can do it, I know he can. But looking back through, Kevin King in P5, Brian LaPrade P6, Daniel Falkingham, Blake Reynolds, Sean Butler, Daniel Buttafuoco, all these guys have a bunch of speed. It's just a race against time. If you don't get a caution, you got to just start slowly climbing your way up.
Battle for 10th, Buttafuoco and Gossett here going into 3. Dylan Basin there as well. Trying to reel him in. Right now, 5:30 p.m. in Sim, just about. The lights slowly starting to flicker on here from Auto Club Speedway. 32 laps to go in the Serpentine Font 400. Michael Guest, your leader. Parker White second. The field trying to find out if they've got enough fuel to make it to the finish line, or realistically, how much fuel do they have until they need to come onto pit road to make it to the finish line?
I think it's going to be interesting in that bubble of about 15 or 20 to go, or maybe you see guys pit just a little bit early. Again, just a little off cycle to really give those tires time to live out their peak, I guess. Where, again, you don't want to pit too late, because at that point, you're not going to be able to maximize what those fresh tires are going to give you. So I'd say, outside of this top 5, maybe that's something to consider for those guys. If you're somebody, again, like a Blake Reynolds or Daniel Falkingham, Sean Butler, or maybe you pit just a little bit early, and again, it's going to bite you in the short term. But if you can get those tires really in their peak lifetime and their peak performance, then maybe you can piece something together.
Running out of time, though.
And it's really surprising, honestly, with how quiet of a race it's been. Here comes Kyler Wynn onto the pit lane.
He has not really been a factor much of this race. He's in the 31st position right now as he enters the pit lane, and this could open up the window here, Caleb, for folks to head to pit road and try and make it to the end on fuel, as Dylan Basin sliding off turn 4 keeps it straight. He's got Sean behind him. Tommy Gossett is there, so is Buttafuoco. Brian Mercurio, who won here at Auto Club last year, trying to make it happen.
And it's time to get those calculators out. Oh, big contact. Michael Guest with Parker White, your 2 leaders. Michael Guest actually just slapped the wall coming out of turn number 2 and stacked up he, Parker White, and Blake McCandless all together. They keep it clean. And we say green, but that was a big moment there for your race leader and Michael Guest. And maybe a sign of things to come throughout the field.
Can I just say, off topic for 1 second, Mike Breen is the best commentator in the NBA, and there's nobody else close. Gary Sexton's on the pit lane right now.
Chris Overland as well, you saw there.
Yep. And that Overland trying to pull the under. Remember, he still had to pit because of where he was at as far as his strategy. So he knew he had to come back onto pit road. He does it now, just inside 30 to go. He knows he can make it to the end on fuel, and everybody that's entered pit road has done for and fuel up to this point. A lot of close battling from 7th on back. Basin, LaPrade, Falkingham in the thick of it here at the front. Meanwhile, Blake Bryant's on pit road. We've got a battle for the lead in turn 1.
And that was all a result of Blake McCandless. He had a huge run, shoved the back of Parker White, and he's going to try it again. Big run out of the 11, and he's going to try what they tried on the front straightaway, side by side into turn number 3 for he and Michael Guest. They're still side by side, but Guest holding strong on this middle line. And I think off of turn number 4, Michael Guest going to keep that momentum up and retain the lead here from Parker White, who is extremely aggressive now, trying to get around this number 9 machine.
Chris Sweat's pitted, speeds on entry. He is going to have a long hold in the box. He has not necessarily been somebody that has been on par as far as speed this evening. 26 to go here from Auto Club Speedway. Michael Guest, your leader. Parker White trying to close him down. Mullis gets by McCandless for third. You've got Cattell just sitting in the background right now in P number 4. Jamie Ritchie Price, the lap car, out in front. Michael Guest, I thought for a moment there he was going to pit. Seemed off the pace, but he's just running the bottom.
And the comms getting busy once again. Big shove from Parker White to Michael Guest now. And really these past few laps, we've started to see some aggressive shoves, namely out of Blake McCandless right now, running 37th, 1 lap down as a result of that speeding penalty earlier. I don't think at this point he's going to really have a shot unless we have a late caution here. But that 71 has been super aggressive.
Connor Horn speeding on pit road. He had a strong car tonight. I know he got involved in a couple of incidents, but he will not have a shot to win this race.
Parker White again.
Here we go. Gossett and Butler to pit road. Everybody else staying out. Tommy Scott, Reese Schaefer, Scott Healy on the pit road.
We're going to try the crossover. Parker White going to tag the wall just slightly. But even so, just slightly, that's going to allow Michael Guest back in on the inside line. Still side by side, and the momentum is in Michael Guest's favor right now. But here comes Parker White again, hard charging on the outside. A little bit of a wiggle out from Michael Guest.
Lots of issues on pit road. Gossett parked it, not quite sure why. Sean Butler speeding on pit road. His shot to win the race likely up in smoke. Parker White, your leader. Mullis in second. Here comes Guest up the middle, 3 wide. 23 laps to go at Auto Club. Trying to go up the middle. He's not going to make it work.
And again, watch that bubble. Should open any time now. About 24, 25 laps in on stints for these leaders. And we're at that point where we could start to see some moves made down on the pit lane. But these guys up at the front, they don't care about fuel or tires right now. They're just hard battling for this lead right now. And here comes Michael Guest again, riding this slingshot. He's going to be to the inside of Parker White. They're side by side going into turn number 1. And it's going to be Michael Guest once again. Here comes Jimmy Mullis trying to take P2 away from Parker White.
Michael Frisch on the pit lane. So is Marin. Blake Reynolds as well. Little wiggle out in front. Guest slides up in front. Contact is made. Bumper to bumper. They're still side by side. Well, nose to nose, rather. Here comes Mullis to the inside, looking for second, trying to get by the lap car of Wyatt Tinsley. 21 to go, and these guys are racing almost like they can make it to the end, but Caleb, something tells me they are staying out on the racetrack just in case we got a late race caution. They're going to try and cash in from there.
Absolutely. I mean, you see how ill-handling these race cars are, and these are the leaders right now, so maybe anticipating somebody further in the back with a collision or something at this point in the race. I think right now, whoa, big wiggle out of Brandon Cattell. But he keeps it straight, going to get passed by Blake McCandless, although that's not for position. But back up at the front, I think these guys just want to be in best position as possible coming into the pit lane. And again, it's just super aggressive up here at the front.
Mullis gets turned into the wall. He's going to spin down into McCandless. The caution's going to come out. There it is. Not what the race leaders wanted to see, especially when Mullis was part of that group. He gets turned racing for second, and the caution comes out for the second time tonight with 20 laps to go.
And that's the caution that these race leaders did not want to see, and the caution that we theorized for so long we were eventually going to see. But who thought that it would be from that lead pack with Jimmy Mullis right there? And again, cliche, but that does change the entire outlook of this race. Now pit strategy is completely flipped on its head. Looking at your leaders, you know, you might see guys like Brian Mercurio, Brandon Cattell, who did just stay out, or who did just pit, excuse me, stay out here and cycle around to the race lead. And these leaders are just in a worst case scenario position right now where they have to pit and everybody behind them already has.
Hits are open. Here they come. Mullis damage to both sides of that 461 rather, Sunoco Chevrolet. No faster pairs here in FTF. So that he's going to be stuck with that damage the rest of the way. He does have a meatball flag as well. We'll see what damage he could have suspension-wise. Let's see if we can get a replay of the contact and the crash. That brings out our second caution. Here from Auto Club. You'll see right here now, these guys were talking on the radio, and he just gets loose with the Parker White all over the back bumper, and McCandless is nowhere to go. I don't know, I didn't quite hear if they were talking about when they wanted to come pit. It was Mullis talking, Cattell was talking. And in the thick of that, Mullis gets turned around.
And it's just a slight bit of contact. With how ill-handling these race cars are at this point in the run, that slightest bit of contact onto the Sunoco Chevrolet sent it around. And Blake McCandless, who's had so much speed, just again, not the best of luck for that 071 machine. He gets collected in that, and with damage, plus being a lap down at this point, looks like he is not going to be in position to win this race.
Let's see. So right now, there are a good amount of folks that are... What? Uh-oh. Okay. Trouble. We are, yeah, we're gonna... Are we at break right now? What's the deal? Okay, well, we will be. iRacing's having a stroke, so we'll clean that up and we'll be back. So we're still under caution. Apologize for the confusion there right before we went to break. Our last break of the night had to fit it in there somewhere, so we got it in. In the meantime, though, we extended the caution here because some folks were supposed to get waved around and didn't. Okay, listening. Okay, so the drivers that are in front of Cattell here should get the wave around, and that's what they're going to do. Oh my God, Joel Embiid is a god. Are you kidding me? Did he just hit that? Did he just hit that?
Well,
or did he just hit the netting underneath? Oh, he didn't. Darn it! Oh, crap.
All right.
All right, well.
Yeah, as Jacob is commentating NBA Kevin Harlan style, the track has devolved into chaos as everybody's just going to get their laps.
Oh, he didn't even get it off anyway. It doesn't matter. He didn't get it off before the buzzer. I hate the Celtics. Did that go in? Oh my God, it did, and it didn't count because he didn't get it off in time. Rats! Oh, that's the most Philadelphia way to lose a game this year. At least they're not the Philadelphia Flyers.
And anybody that was familiar with us a few months back with Legends of the Future knows this side of Jacob, where he's calling whatever sports are on all along with the race. But even so, we should be going this time, I believe, is what they said. Lights are off on the pace car, so I'll take that. They should be choosing this time. With Brandon Cattell, Briar LaPrade, and Brian Mercurio, your new set of leaders. And again, with that caution, it's completely flipped this race on its head. Where Michael Guest and Parker White made the best of a bad situation there. Coming out 5th and 6th, looks like.
So we are half a lap away from going back to green. Cattell and LaPrade are on the front row. Then Mercurio, Basin, Guest, King, White, Falkingham, McAdams, Botafuco, your top 10. A lot of folks are still trying to catch back up to the tail end of the field here from the wave around. Gonna get a restart with 15 laps to go here in the Serpentine Font 400. Brian Mercurio won this race a season ago. He lines up second on the outside line to try and go back-to-back here at Auto Club. And they have extended the caution flag for one more lap to get everybody caught the heck up.
Yeah, that's a good call right there. You can see we're kind of having a similar effect to what we had at Daytona, where the inside line instead of the outside it's like 10 cars, and then everybody else is just on the outside here. So everybody's got to get grouped back up here if we want to go back green. Very interesting formation that we have going on here. Jimmy Mullis is coming back down the pit lane, presumably to fix some more damage from that.
What? Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. What? Mercurio to the back? I am confusion. So Basin and Mercurio are being sent to the back, and we're re-choosing. I don't know how.
We'll try to get clarification from race control there, but again, now that completely shakes up how we're...
Yeah. From what I'm kind of gathering, it sounds like some folks didn't follow direction, and that's why they're being moved to the back now. I don't know what's going on. Jamie Ritchie Price update. He is P13 on the lead lap. There he is, the 009. Who I'm sure he's going to put together a 5-minute compilation on this section of the race that you'll see on Twitter, because this is something. He started dead last. He was the sponsor provisional for tonight. And here he is out in front. Oh my goodness. I don't know if we're ever going to get this race restarted. Did we transport to North Wilkesboro? And I don't blame the admins.
Yeah, it looks like
okay, we are choosing.
We're choosing. Yeah.
So the wave arounds are not choosing, which is normal. So Mercurio and Basin got moved. But that's not the... So they're now 14th and 15th. I thought the point was that they were going to try and move them to behind Sean. Oh, that's right. Sean sped, so he's multiple laps down. So Mercurio and Basin get moved to the end of the lead lap before the wave. So they're in front of the wave arounds, which includes now Blake McCandless, Blake Bryant, Blake Reynolds, Gary Sexton. So the Blakes, Gary Sexton, Logan Helton, they are all back on the lead lap. Chris Overland, this is the caution that he's been looking for a while. Frisch is back on the lead lap as well. Jonathan Oates. So after the longest caution in a while, 13 laps to settle the Serpentine Font 400. Green flag.
Big jump for Cattell right there. Bryler Pratt in tow behind the number 80 machine. Expecting him to fan out here as they hit turn number 1, and Kevin King is going to be the biggest aggressor there as he's running the third line up. Almost a little bit of contact between Michael Guest and
Oh,
Bryler
crash!
Pratt.
Cosman into the wall. Ryan Noraki. Caution's out. Teammates in FTF Legacy Club. Look out. Oh, and Marin gets tagged right at the end. A little bit of net code, I think, to get him around. And the caution is out for the third time as Cosman up and into the wall. Believe he just lost it on his own. Corey Carpenter also got a piece of it there, but it's teammates that wind up against the fence here. Coming off turn number 2 with 12 laps to go now. Here is the replay. Watch the 84 and the 37.
Again, like you said, I think just of his own volition, Barr steps out on him just a little bit, corrects back up into the front of old RNC right there, and collects those two, and Sebastian Marin just nowhere to go with Cosman coming back down the racetrack like that. Really unfortunate for our pole sitter there, but looks like with some damage now, he's going to have an uphill battle for sure, if not completely out of contention at this point. Brandon Cattell, your leader with Bryler Pratt, Michael Guest, Parker White, and Kevin King, your top 5.
My goodness. So, nobody really pits here. Everybody's going to stay out. Hopefully, this will lead to a quickie caution here and get us back rolling. We do have a couple pitting. McCandless, Blake Bryant. McCandless came over the radio and said he has damage. And was trying to let folks by, not hinder them. He damaged from the caution on the second caution of the day, rather, where he made contact, rather got hit by Jimmy Mullis. So, 11 to go. We'll get a restart inside 10 to go. And just kind of riding around right now.
I just went back and watched, and I can see why you got so hyped at that Embiid shot, because that was kind of crazy.
Okay, yeah. And not only that, I talked very fondly about Mike Breen before that. I didn't hear it live because I had the audio turned down so I could somewhat focus on this. Plus, I was talking over top of him. He lost his mind at Embiid's shot. It's a shame it didn't count. I applaud him for the professionalism, because if I was in that place, I probably would have flipped the table in front of me over in rage that did not count. Now, granted, I have a little bit of a bias, and Mike Breen doesn't, but a banger of a call. First ballot broadcast Hall of Famer, Mike Breen. You gotta love it. I hope he never retires as long as I live.
Yeah, that was pretty insane there.
Who needs March Madness when you've got Freaky February? All right, 10 to go here in the Serpentine Font 400K. We've only had 3 cautions tonight. Brandon Cattell, your race leader. It's been a relatively clean night up to this point. But you know what happens in races, especially with these next-gen cars, when everybody gets bunched up, Caleb? Cautions breed caution.
Well, absolutely. And even so, these last 10 laps or so, we've only had 2 incidents. And we've just logged about 15 laps under caution, it feels like. So these have been a lot longer than... It's felt a lot longer, rather, than what they've actually been. But we'll see as we're inside 10 to go now. I'm curious with Brandon Cattell right here. Michael Guest, who we saw has led most of this race with Parker White, who's right behind him. Brian LaPrade as well. They didn't really get a shot on that last restart to get up to speed and get going. But Kevin King really was one of those guys that was tempting fate up on the Larson line. So we'll see if he does that once again. But we'll see. 10 laps to go for what could be the final restart here at Auto Club.
Here we go. Uh-oh. What? Sean Butler's mad. We're green. 9 to go. He wanted people behind him. We're good. Here we go. Oh, brother. All right, here we go. I can tell your leader, LaPrade, second. Here comes Guest to the inside. He's looking to go all the way to the top spot. Watches up the racetrack. LaPrade on the back bumper of the 80. There's contact. They're side by side. Trouble. Off turn 2. Big crash. Overland is involved in this. Hamilton Akabuze is in this. Frisch has a little bit of damage. Malachi Drake involved as well. Caution's out for the 4th time. Car 45 looks like was the first car sideways. Sean Butler got a piece as well. And that's caution number 4. Cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, maybe at this point it's caution breeds caution.
We'll get a replay here in a moment. Sebastian Marin just sneaks through this one. So it started with the 45, or the 045 of Akabuze, and it collected on from there. Watch him here. He's going to be in the middle. That's Chris Overland. There you see him. The rookie stripes, the 45, the Moneyline car. He gets loose, bounces off Sean. That spins Sean out, goes back up to the outside wall. A lot of folks take evasive action. And then we need to take a look at Sean, too, because he somehow avoids the inside wall here. If you watch the 32 of Sean Butler, he is a lap down. But if you watch him here, I don't know if you'll quite see it from this angle. You won't. Here we go. He barely misses the inside of safer barrier.
Good Lord, from Sean Butler right there.
Now, so Overland, since his was a separate deal, Overland just got loose on his own here and bounces down into Frisch. And his rec score is already at 1, so he's going to have to think about this one in the box. I don't think he got a tap from the 79 of Shearer. I think he just lost it. Comes down into Frisch, so he gets a wreck point as well for kind of causing part 2 of that crash. Two crashes for the price of 1 caution.
And again, yeah, like you said, 2 separate instances of just guys being 4 wide. And we're at that point, 7 laps to go, where if you are back in the field, you're going to have to make aggressive moves like that to move your way up through the field. You're going to have to pass cars in mass quantities, and wrecks are just a byproduct of that at this point. So these cautions that you're starting to see in rapid succession of one another, it's just a result of being this late in the running of the Barr Visuals FTF Cup Series.
So we'll get a restart here inside. 7 to go. I think if we get 1 to go here, it'll be 5 laps to go in this race when we get the restart. Coming up on FTF, Winstell returns tomorrow from the Daytona International Speedway Legacy Daytona. It's the Gen 4 Challenge. 2003 is the year they're going for this year. So they get it rolling from Daytona to kick things off tomorrow, 8 o'clock. The eNASCAR Qualifying iRacing Series is back on Thursday, March the 2nd, 9 o'clock Eastern from Las Vegas. And we are back a week from tonight from Las Vegas as well. with the Provisional Gamble 400K from Las Vegas, 9 o'clock Eastern, Saturday, March 4th, here on FTF. Winston has Rockingham the following night, March 5th, and Audubon returns from CTMP, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, on Monday, March 6th, 9:15 Eastern. All that and more, right here on FTF.gg. Oh, by the way, in SimCar, that's back. We start a week from Thursday, March 9th, 8:30. We're at Road America to get things going there.
Even so,
right.
6 laps to go here, Jacob, and
Yep.
think we're going to see another caution here?
Another caution is imminent. 5 laps to go. If we make the white flag, this race is official, but we got to go 3 laps in order to make that happen. Green flag in the air, Cattell on the outside, Guest on the inside. Here we go. Cattell drops to the bottom. LaPrade up on the outside, trying to get rolling. We'll see if Guest can use that bottom. He's been really strong at the bottom of the racetrack on these restarts. Pulls up right alongside the 80, coming off turn number 2. They're going to be side by side for the lead. A shot and he gets turned. Breyer turns him into the outside wall. Guest takes the lead. They'll side draft. They'll crash. Jamie Ritchie Price is around into the 93. Caution is out and we're going to overtime. Oh, Seth Noel hurdles through the grass into the door of Michael P. Frisch. Connor Horn is sideways. Multiple cars involved, and we go to overtime here at Auto Club Speedway. The 93, not Nathan Rabideau, Kwame Scott in the car tonight. And he gets involved in the crash with Jamie Ritchie Price, and as they scattered to the apron, more cars got collected. We'll get a replay here. Watch the 009, the yellow car. Kind of stacks up the outside line. He was having a good run here as of late. He's going to make contact here. We're being told with the 4, the Sunoco car of Nate Stewart. We'll find out here off turn 2. Let's see. Can't quite tell from that angle. With the side on, looks like maybe a little bit of contact there. Yep, and that gets him up into the 93. You see Noel, he turns dead left. And he's going to wind up going through the grass, Dukes of Hazzard style, and winds up colliding into practically the left side window of Frisch. Here's the contact, though, at the front.
And just a slight bump gone wrong that shoves Cattell into the wall and stacks up everybody else behind him. You see that contact between 9 and Nate Stewart. Seth Noel right there, and he goes for a wild ride here. Yeah.
Yeah. Hits the grass and just kicks him up into the air. Jamie Ritchie Price gets an EOL penalty for the caution flag. 5th one tonight.
This will be a fun one.
Cattell thinks he might have wheel damage here. I guess he might have been told over the radio. Here's the onboard with Frisch. He goes left. I think Noel gets turned. And he loses it. He keeps it down on the ground, and then he gets hit in the door by Noel.
Tough there to send us into overtime now. You think we're going to be using all of our attempts here, Jacob?
I have a feeling we're going to use all 3 overtimes.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long race. And optimistically here, Justin said that we were going to be done at 11:20. He was close. Brandon Cattell writes in, I got wheel damage, boys. Gonna make it wide, DW. So, there's one. If they don't wreck behind him, there's one green-white checker gone.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out with the... I feel like we'll have a Charlotte Roval type effect where Cattell will just launch the car off into oblivion as we hit turn 1. But We'll see.
We are choosing this time. Sean, I can't tell if Sean is mad or pretending to be mad. I cannot tell. He's almost in like Jordan Worth territory, which tells me that he's just here to have fun, and he's having fun. But Sean usually doesn't act like this, so I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah, maybe he's just had enough at the back, and I don't blame him. If I had the speed that Sean had early on with some of the stuff he's had to work with, it's been a really rough night for that 32 machine either way. Back up at the front, Brandon Cattell with wheel damage as he rode in. Parker White, Briar LaPrade, Michael Guest, Kevin King, Daniel Falkingham's up here, Kevin McAdams, who admittedly has had a quiet night, but he's up here as well. Brian Mercurial working his way back up through the field. Corey Carpenter rounding out your top 10. Lots of fun names up here, and it's overtime.
All right, 3 attempts. This is the first one here at Auto Club Speedway. Brandon Cattell, who is damaged. Parker White does not. Great launch for the 80 up on the outside of the racetrack. He almost is clear of Parker White. He tries to pinch him down, but we know how strong the inside line has been on the restarts. Michael Guest picked the outside line that last time by. Here comes Briar looking up the middle. We'll see how much speed that 80 has. Here comes White down to the bottom, loose off the corner.
Yeah, for wheel damage, he's doing pretty well. Coming down the backstretch for what could be the penultimate time. Michael Guest giving that 80 a shove. Here comes Parker White once again. Briar LaPrade, they're fanning out 3, 4 wide in the back. Here they come out of turn 4. They're side by side. Cattell, Parker White.
Oh, Guest gets a little squirrely. We made it. 1 lap to go. Cattell out in front. Guest is in second. He goes to the inside. Here's Briar on the outside. Kevin King is there as well. Here comes Guest, driving it in deep on the bottom into turn 1. Washing up the racetrack. A little bit of a slide job. Is he clear? Yes, he gets the wall. Here comes Cattell. He hits him. Dylan Bason's around. It's a crash fest on the back straightaway. Half a dozen cars spinning, slamming into the wall. Michael Guest out in front. He's ahead by a car length. Briar looking for second. Cattell up on the outside, and it's not gonna matter. Michael Guest off turn 4. Checkered flag is in the air. He's gonna get his first win of 2023. He wins the Serpentine Font 400.
And we thought that fuel strategy, where that first caution fell to put us where we're at, was gonna come back to bite Michael Guest, but despite all of that, he battles back and takes home the checkered flag here. A bunch of guys who had speed. You saw Dylan Basin get turned on the last lap. We'll get a replay there for you to see exactly what happened, but man.
Results are unofficial. Guest, 3 wins last year. That's what's left of Kwame Scott's machine. Guest, the winner at Dover, Charlotte, and Darlington. He also won the All-Star race, which was at the Coliseum. So Michael Guest picks up his first win of 2023. As long as he makes the required amount of starts, he is in the playoffs of our Visuals FTF Cup Series. Not a bad way to do it, starting out the year, going to victory lane, knowing that, you're likely in the show. You just have to make enough races or attempt enough races to stay eligible.
Yeah, and that's a great win for Michael Guest there.
Here's the
looking
replay.
on back, yeah, Dylan Basin right here. You saw him get spun around as the leaders were driving through.
Oh, he just got loose.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds right there as well. Probably the worst spot you can be in.
Can't quite see the carnage from that angle. A lot of cars headed toward that inside wall. See the 12 go back up into traffic. That's Lawson Peel. Nate Stewart involved in that. There's Chris Overland piling in. Hamilton Akabuze involved. There's Stewart up against the fence. Now they did wreck again coming to the line. Oh, here's Kwame Scott getting his damage. He comes down and takes out Sebastian Marin. And oh my gosh, Naraki, Seth Knoll piling in on the last lap. Jonathan Oates in it as well.
Just a tough break. Jonathan Oates, who got caught on that fuel strategy earlier with Chris Overland and just couldn't crawl back out from that. And poor finishes for both of them. Just a tough break.
Michael Guest, your winner. Brandon Cattell second with that wheel damage. Great job for driver number 80. Brian LaPrade third. Kevin King fourth. Parker White fifth. Daniel Falkingham sixth. Then it's Kevin McAdams. We didn't talk about him at all tonight. He finishes seventh somehow. Matt Kenseth himself into his seventh. Brian Mercurio, Daniel Botafuco, Logan Helton, another guy we didn't talk about all night. He finishes in 10th.
Corey Carpenter, another quiet night for him. Comes home 11th. Gary Sexton, who led some laps early, comes home in the 12th position. Blake McCandless, great rebound from him after that speeding penalty, finishing in the 13th position. Johan Seminario in 14th. Cosmin Ionescu in 15th. Wyatt Tinsley coming home in the 16th position. Frank DeAngelis in 17th. Justin Malillo, a quiet night for him as well, coming home 18th. Michael P. Frisch, we saw in a few accidents, coming home 19th. And Edward Shear rounding out your top 20.
Aiden Barrelin here in 21st, Reese Schaefer 22nd, Matt Spalding 23rd, 24th, Jamie Ritchie Price, 25th, Blake Reynolds, Jimmy Mullis 26th, Hamilton Akabuze 27th, Scott Healy 28th, Ryan Naraki 29th, Sebastian Marin 30th. All these guys back here involved in that crash on the last lap, Caleb.
Yeah, Dylan Basin coming home in the 31st position. Jonathan Oates had the aforementioned pit strategy gone wrong for that 73 machine. Blake Bryant in the 33rd position. Chris Overland finishing in the 34th position. Nate Stewart coming home 35th. Lawson Peel in 36th. Both of these guys involved in that last lap accident. Lawson Peel going to be the first car one lap down with Kwame Scott, Seth Knoll, Connor Horn, and Sean Butler, who rounds out your top 40.
Final four cars, Malachi Drake, one lap down, Chris Wetz, Kyler Wynn, Tommy Gossett. Gossett did not finish, neither did Wynn. Everybody else, at least for the most part, managed to finish the race. Well, we'll talk with our race winner. Our waiting room pretty empty. Michael Guest picking up win number 1 in start number 2 on the season. He had a lot of competition, though, on that last restart. A lot of fast cars in the pack on that last grid wide checker. Take us through those last 2 laps.
Yeah, that was a fun race. I very much enjoy Auto Club. It's about my favorite track on the service, and it's really unfortunate that it's going away soon, but hopefully we continue running it in this series. But regardless, yeah, it's kind of crazy how competitive the series is this year. There are so many DWC guys that didn't end up making the field tonight. I'm glad I was able to, and I mean, honestly, I can just say that I was lucky that I was in the right spot at the end. It was kind of all about how you restarted on the last restart there. I think the only people that had a realistic shot was me or Cattell. The Highline is just so dominant, and to be able to complete a pass, you really got to throw a slide job, and I'm kind of lucky that I cornered Cattell where I did, because when I hit the wall, he could have went low, but he had Kevin or Breyer or someone under him to where he was forced to push me, and that kind of won me the race. But I'll definitely take it. I mean, I love winning in this series. It's, like I said, really competitive, so there's a lot of satisfaction out of running well in this series. And you know, the last couple of years I've won a couple races and don't ever end up running enough races to make the playoffs, so hopefully that can change this year.
As of now, currently in the playoffs, just have to make sure that you make enough starts between now and the end of the regular season at Daytona to remain eligible. You put a lot of laps in here at Auto Club this week, obviously A-Fixed and NIS running here. The Coke Series is at Milwaukee on Tuesday, putting a lot of time in there. And then we're at Las Vegas next weekend, so you're putting a lot of laps in the same race car, different setups, 3 completely different racetracks.
Yep, luckily for this series to start off with, it's running the real-life schedule, which I would say is a bit more fun than putting laps in at Milwaukee, but So I'll definitely be looking forward to the Vegas race next week. That's also one of my favorite tracks. It's hopefully a good multi-groove racetrack there again, like tonight.
Well, Michael, congratulations on the win. As of now, you're in the playoffs. Go celebrate. We'll see you next week from Las Vegas. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
That's Michael Guest, your winner tonight here from Auto Club. Let's talk with second place finisher Brandon Cattell with Caleb Hoffman.
And Brandon, you wrote in late in that run that you had some wheel damage from that contact between you and Briar LaPrade. Talk us through not only having to combat that, but fight against everybody else around you on that final restart.
Can you guys hear me?
There we go.
Yeah, sorry, it was coming out of my speakers. I was playing Harry Potter earlier. So yeah, it was one of those deals, man. I think I had damage from when Briar. Well, I did have wheel damage. Briar hit me just a little bit too far to the left there, and it caught me sideways, and I caught the wall pretty good down the back. But man, we caught that lucky break on pit road, and we had a shot. I felt like this was as close as to a super speedway as we could get, and I'm pretty good on those. And the Robert Cattell roofing machine was doing pretty good tonight.
And looking ahead, you had a strong run. And then just looking ahead at Las Vegas coming up on the schedule, how do you feel about your chances there next week?
I think the last Coke race I did at Vegas a couple of years ago, I had a shot to win, but tires beat me at the end. I think it was actually Jimmy who beat me, or Novak, I can't remember. But I think I'm pretty good at Vegas. I think we're going to see a lot of the same kind of restart deal. You have to get in the right line to get going. I think it would be pretty similar to this. Probably not to the extent because the weather was super cold. It was snowing down there. But yeah, I think Vegas will be okay.
That's your P2 finisher, Brandon Cattell. A great run for him tonight. Great rebound after not showing up for the FTF 500. Thank you, Brandon, for your time, and congratulations on a P2 tonight.
Thank you very much.
Back
There
to you,
you
Jake.
have it. That's Cattell. And one note here before we talk with Briar. Out of the drivers that finished in the top 10 at Daytona 2 weeks ago, only one driver finished in the top 10 tonight. Daniel Botafuco finished 10th 2 weeks ago. He finished 9th tonight. Everybody else either did not make the race, did not attempt, or finished deep in the field. A couple of those guys involved in that last crash, including Basin and Noel. Here's Briar LaPrade, your third place finisher tonight here from Auto Club, and a fast car, it seemed like in those late restarts, couldn't quite get in the right place in the right time. Too many folks kind of boxing you out. Take us through that last restart.
Yeah, I'm pretty frustrated about that one, to be honest. I felt like I was in a pretty good spot, and if we actually had time instead of wasting laps trying to figure out the back half of the order and everyone wrecking, the race could have actually been pretty fun to watch instead of a bunch of green-white checkers there. But yeah, I felt like I pushed Cattell pretty straight on. I went back and watched. I was a little offset to the left and not as bad as I think I was. But yeah, if that didn't happen, I feel like I was going to be in a really good spot. Still, yellow came out, so who knows where I would have been. But just frustrating. I just wanted to have a little bit of time to brawl it out instead of, worried about your position on the white flag and all that. But the Ledford Billiard Supply machine had a pretty good pace there. Pretty happy with that. But yeah, pretty much not happy with third. I wish I ended up first, but it is what it is.
Obviously, going to Vegas next week, you're going to be familiar with that, with the NASCAR side of things, trying to work your way through the qualifying iRacing series once again, and then you get back into a cup car there next Saturday for the FTF series, and another mile and a half, in a sense, similar to this racetrack.
Yeah, Vegas should be fun. Hopefully it's not going to be as draft heavy as it is here. I feel like this track in Pocono and Michigan, all those tracks just come down to just being on the outside. Just a super speedway deal, I guess, it feels like, with the draft. So kind of annoying. Hopefully Vegas isn't like that, but yeah, Vegas should be fun, I think.
All right, Briar, well, congratulations on the top 3, and we'll see you next week from Las Vegas.
Thank you.
That's Briar LaPrade, P3 tonight here from Auto Club. Caleb, final thoughts from the West here at Auto Club.
Yeah, I mean, with the weather being so cold, it's pretty unorthodox for Fontana, but even so, we had a pretty unpredictable race where, you know, you weren't really expecting to see strategy come in that much into play, where we had what was it, a span of what felt like almost 100 laps, just running and clicking off laps under green flag conditions. We had some cautions to kind of book in this race at the very beginning and the very end, but either way, it was a hard-fought win for Michael Guest, and as you said, if he attempts enough races, he finds himself locked in the playoffs now, along with Ryan Doucette. So shaping up already to be a pretty formidable playoff fight, and we'll just keep clicking off rounds until we get there.
We'll see what happens. Reminder, Winstella's back tomorrow, kicking off the season from Daytona International Speedway, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern here on FTF is where you can find that. We are back a week from tonight from Las Vegas, 9:30 Eastern for the, what is it, the Provisional Gamble 400K, if I have that memorized correctly. Yes, it is. And Road to Pro is from Vegas as well. You'll see that Thursday, March 2nd, 9 p.m. Eastern. For Zach Johnson, our producer, everybody at FTF, Caleb Hoffman alongside me, I'm Jacob Pitts. Michael Guest, your winner at Auto Club. We'll see you in Vegas next week. Good night.